By contributing to Unity, we demonstrate the flow of abundance in our lives and acknowledge the value of our spiritual community. Your gifts of time, talent, and treasure enable us to support the work that goes on within our church and our work in the community. Here are some ways in which you can contribute. You can donate by text and using your smartphone to text your contribution as follows. Text 919-948-1234. Then type in the $ and amount. Then press send. For first-time setup, we'll require you to enter your credit card information by clicking on the link. Then enter the amount of your contribution, tap on Give to General Fund, then tap on Give this one time to select the frequency of your donation from the drop-down menu, and then select your method of payment. You can also save this number to your contacts. You can donate online by visiting unitytriangle.org/donate or scanning the QR code on the screen or in one of our flyers. You can do so by pointing your smartphone camera directly at the QR code or downloading the QR Reader app from the App Store. Tap the orange Donate button located at the very top of the screen. Then enter the amount of your contribution. Select Give to Tithes, and then tap on Give this one time to select the frequency of your contribution. Later select your method of payment and tap Continue. Enter your payment information, and once you're ready, tap Give. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to our Unity of the Triangle online service. Good morning.
Good morning,
Rev
Neusom. We want to remind you that while we're doing these services, and we'll continue to do them at 9 and 11, streamed every Sunday at 9 and 11, we're also doing live services in the sanctuary with real people.
And that's what happened this last Sunday, May 9th on Mother's Day. We opened our church after 14 months, and it was just, it felt really great to be around those we love and those who feel that we are indeed a beautiful, that's why I started with a beautiful people, beautiful family. How did it feel for you, Neusom?
Well, it was a bit intense for me. I'm kind of used to being alone and actually only talking to a camera and seeing only my hands moving in the reflection in the lens of the camera, and now here's people. Wow, look at that.
We had the wonderful musicians do their nice, engaging music, and it felt wonderful also going outside the building and having our fellowship outdoors.
Yeah.
Children were here. Yeah, so I'm really pleased to know that we have many options available for those we serve. Mm-hmm. So.
And there were 100 people, but there's plenty of space here for even more people to come and still be distanced as you wish.
So if you want to maximize this Unity of the Triangle experience, like our promotion says, you get to maybe do the 9 and show up for the 11, or even if you show up for the 11 in person, you can watch the 9 later. These are beautiful talks that stay in our social media for you to go back to and maybe review or be inspired again.
Yeah, and they are similar to what we'll be doing in person, given that some things change over the course of the time between we do it on film and then we do it in person. But I think they will be supporting each other.
And besides, if you've been around this community for a while, you know that Neusom will never do the exact same talk. There's always something unique he will bring, and I'm sure you're doing something unique today. What are you
We're doing something unique. I got really charmed again by reading this book called The Holy Man. It's a short little book with some cute little stories in there about how to wake up to who you are. And I'm going to be using that this week and next week as part of the talk.
And the holy man, as I heard, it's a holy seeker.
Well, the holy man turns much of the process of awakening to your true nature back to you, which is kind of the beauty of these little stories, is it's all within us.
So let's move on with our service, and much gratitude for this opportunity of connecting either online or in person, and joining into the seeking process towards God, the divine, the beauty, and the fulfillment of life.
Let's begin.
Like I should. Went and took a walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Every day can be a better day despite the challenge. All you got to do is leave it better than you found it. It's gonna be difficult to stand, but hold your balance. I just say whatever, cause there's no way around it. Everyone falls down sometimes. You gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's alright. Yeah, feeling good like I should. Then took a walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. I got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Some days you wake up and nothing works, you feel surrounded. Gotta get your feet some gravity to get you grounded. Just like the waves and the sound and the sounded. I just say whatever, cause there ain't no way around it. Everyone falls down sometime, but you gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay. It's alright. Alright, hey, feeling good like I should. Went and took a walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. I got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Feeling good like I should. Then took a walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best.
Prayer chaplains are available for prayer now that we're meeting in person in the sanctuary. You can see them wearing the purple stoles. They'll be in the sanctuary. And you can also reach a prayer chaplain for online prayer during Sunday services by going to our website. So now let's take these names in this prayer box in prayer. Let us pray. We relax into the holy presence, the place that is beyond the world of appearances, the place of respite and resolve. It is in this holy present moment that we are in alignment with truth, with divinity, and with ourselves. Everything in light is expendable except the truth of who we are. We are God expressing itself, or pure awareness. When we commit to live from a God-centered life of compassion, kindness, and respect for all things. We send love to every name in this prayer box. May every individual release their fear, anxiety, and trepidation of how their lives are unfolding. We seek only to live in the fullness of Spirit, accepting all things with grace and gratitude. With our courage and unwavering faith, we uplift all those who are troubled or having difficulty remembering the truth of who they are. And in turn, we are strengthened and renewed. The grace of God is always with every one of us, no matter where we are on our spiritual journey. With gratitude for these truths, we rest in this assurance, knowing all is well, and so we let it be. Amen.
God and I are one. God and I are one. God and I are one. God and I are
As we begin to meditate, let's begin by adjusting the body so that we can sit comfortably and let the body relax. As the body relaxes and we find a way to sit comfortably, let's pay attention to our breath, noticing when it comes in and then paying attention also when it goes out. So we follow the rhythm of the breath with the mind as best we can. And because the mind has only one thing to pay attention to for the next couple of minutes, it begins to quiet. So let's feel the breath. And as we do so, feel the body relax even more. Let the breath be full, meaning that your belly extends with each breath because you're breathing deep into the lungs, and the diaphragm is pulling down the air into the lungs even more deeply as we take our time inhaling and exhaling. Now imagine, sense, and feel that the breath is also the breath of the world. And as you breathe, the world breathes. As you breathe in, it gets larger, and when you exhale, it gets smaller. And the rhythm of your breathing is the rhythm of the world. So now let the heart begin to be involved by bringing a focus of the breath into the heart. And the heart expands with the breath, and then it contracts as the breath, in alignment with the earth, breathes in, breathes out, into the heart, into the world. Now see if you can picture yourself simple or pure awareness, not attached to the body, not dependent on the senses, just aware. You may be aware of something or many things, but see if you can bring your attention not to the things, but to the awareness itself. Feel into that awareness. Go deeply into that awareness. As awareness becomes your focus, notice how it is independent of anything. And claiming it as you is just an overlay. As we move into silence, see if you can maintain your attention on awareness itself. As we sit together in silence. hope you all can say that you have done your taxes, given the extension. You were not invited to procrastinate even further. So congratulations to everyone who's done their taxes. And those of you who are not, well, you're in good company. There are many, many people like that too. I want to talk to you about something not tax related. Basically, it's about the obstacles to awakening to your true nature. And I want to preface this by saying I've been reading a few Vedic books or books about the Vedas. And basically, one of the things they start off by saying is that the very first thing you should become involved with is essentially right attitude or right understanding. And that means that you read the wisdom of the ages and come to clarity about what they are saying is the nature of reality. That what they're really saying when it comes to awakening is that you are always already a spiritual being, fully in tune with the divine. There's just an overlay over you, over that aspect of you, that makes you think you're not, and that you have practiced being just a human being way too long, and with it has come from that ignorance a series of maladies that are obscurations or difficulties or blockages that keep you from realizing it in the present moment. And the first one of those is egoism. And by that, I mean, you think you're a person and not the awareness itself. You believe you're an I, and that I has accumulated quite a few things. It's accumulated a name, which your parents did a really good job of working you over until you believe you were that a person by saying your name, you're this person, you're that person. And then they would also add to it, you do this and you don't do that. You like this, you don't like that. And this begins to be, I think, the core seed of what becomes egoism in general, which is essentially that you think you are I, this I that you say you are. I am a doctor, I am a failure, I am a hero, I am a fool. Whichever you choose, or whichever you choose in that moment, you categorize yourself by the way you have looked, or things you have done, things you have acquired, things you have avoided, the things that you like and the things that you dislike. This is not who you are at depth. That's what the Vedas are saying. They're saying what you really are is the presence of God, that you are a pinpoint of consciousness in a sea of consciousness that can see and know things, but that now, by habit, you have begun to think, oh, I'm just a small I, separate from the divine, separate from all that is, separate from everybody else. That's who I am. And I have my preferences and my dislikes. I have my wins and my losses. I have the things I own and the people I know. I have these things. But in fact, you're much grander than that. The Vedas tell you that you are essentially the divine that uses this body and mind, that has experiences through that, but that you are the experiencer, not the I, not the one who suffers, not the one who is victorious. That's not who you are. That is what your body-mind is doing. What you are is the one who sees all the time, that animates all of that animates, is part of what animates everything. So you're in deep with the divine. You're not separate. And so many times we have started here in the West with the idea that you should learn to meditate. But they basically say, don't start meditation until you have the right idea of what you're looking for in meditation. And what you're looking for in meditation is confirmation of this deeper wisdom that allows you to see the foibles of this life and also to see deeply into who you are and recognize your divine presence that you are. This is an important thing if you're on the path to really get that you're not trying to achieve something, you're really trying to pull away the dross over it and see the gold that was always in here, the who of who you really are, the awareness of who you really are. I like to tell you a story that comes out of this book called The Holy Man by Susan Trott. The Holy Man is a series of stories about pilgrims who have decided to see the Holy Man, and to do that they must climb this long path up to the top of the mountain where his hermitage is. And because many people have decided to do this, there is a long line of people doing that. All the stories revolve around people waiting to get to see the Holy Man. Then they meet the Holy Man, and then what happens next in their lives. So everyone comes with a problem. For instance, the drunkard comes and he's really kind of drunk when he starts getting on the trail, and he only brings like a day and a half's worth of liquor with him, and this line is really long. It may take him a month or two. So he realizes at some point he's got to go down and get some more liquor, and so he leaves. Now, on his first trip up there was just horrible for him. He was weak. He could hardly make it up there. He finally did make it, and he had to leave his place in line to go down, and so when he comes back, he's a little bit behind everybody else, but at least he's a little stronger the second time. And this goes on for days where he brings enough for a day or two, a few supplies for himself, but basically he has to keep going down to the village, and every time he does, he gets stronger. And he actually is beginning to feel so strong, he asks his friends, the people he'd met on the trail who are also pilgrims, he says, "Can I bring you anything?" And they say, "Yeah, bring me this and this and that." And pretty soon he doesn't have room for everything in his backpack, so he brings less liquor. So he comes back up, he's stronger, and he's drinking less. And then as this goes on for months, by the time he gets to the door of the Holy Man, he's healthy, he's vibrant, he's alive. And he asked the Holy Man, "Do you think I can keep this up?" And the Holy Man said, "Yes, as long as you continue to help people." That's how the stories go. Now there's a story about a woman. I should tell you there's a quirk to this story, and she tells you this right up front in this thing, that the Holy Man only opens his door about 3 hours a day, and he brings people in one at a time. So these people have been waiting in line now for a long time, camping out under the stars, meeting people, experiencing life, and in many ways transforming themselves before they get there. But they come to the door and they knock on the door, and this little old man opens. He's got a kind of a nondescript robe on, and they say, "I'm here to see the Holy Man." And he says, "Fine, follow me." And he walks through the building to the back door, and he says, "Goodbye." And there's a trail that goes down the backside of the mountain. And they said, "Well, I came to see the Holy Man." He says, "You have. Goodbye." And for many of them, that's all they get. So all their transformation comes not so much by talking to the Holy Man, but by what happens to them in life. This story has a lot of humor because it's like the Canterbury Tales. There are lots of characters involved here. One of the characters I'd like to tell you about is this woman who was a woman of means, fairly attractive, older, a grandmother. And she's meeting people, and after a while they say, "Look, do you mind telling us why you're on this quest?" And she says, "Well, I'm here to ask the Holy Man why my grandchildren don't write me after I give them a gift." And her friends start to laugh. He says, "Really? This is why you're coming to see the Holy Man?" She says, "Yes. It's bugged me. Hasn't it bugged all of you? Doesn't it bother everyone that for the ages why grandchildren are not grateful? I'm really disturbed by this. I really want an answer." Well, okay. So time goes by, and she's meeting friends, and everything's going okay, but when she gets to the door of the holy man, it's her turn. She knocks on the door and she says, "Are you the holy man?" And he says, "Yes, I am the holy man." He says, "Do you mind if I ask you a question?" She says, "Well, ask away." And what she says is, "Tell me, why don't my grandchildren write me and say they love me when I give them gifts? What is going on here?" And he says, "Egotism." She says, "What?" He says, "Egotism." She says, "Oh, I thought they were egotistic." He says, "No, woman, you are egotistic." And she says, "You can't say that to me. I'm the generous one." And he goes, "Well, you're an egotist. Now, goodbye." And with that, she's out the back door and down the trail by herself. And as she goes, she's mad as she can be. And then she begins to go, what does he know about giving and not being thanked? What does he know about not being recognized for the person he is? And then it dawns on her, that's exactly what everybody does. They come to the door, they knock on it, they want to see the holy man. He greets them, but they don't recognize him. And he walks them out to the back, and no one says thank you. They just go. They ask for advice, but nobody says thank you. Oh, I get it. He knows what he's talking about. So she begins to get it. It's really been beginning to dawn on her, and her friends come up. These friends who would ask him, what were you here for? And now they're saying, what did he say to you? And she says, well, he told me I was an egotist. And they laugh because the holy man has told each person as he sends them down the back way, see everyone as a holy man, as a holy person, and you will be happy. Treat them kindly, treat them like they're holy, and you will have a good life. So they're kind of ecstatically walking down the path, having just gotten the words that really kind of cap their whole experience of waiting in line. They see this woman, they ask her, she says she was an egotist. They laugh with her. She laughs. Everything is going well. And then a quirky thing happens, a reversal. A man comes up who's interested in this woman. He kind of wants her affection, you can tell subtly. And so he says, oh, that's horrible. He called you an egotist. She goes, yeah, it was really. And it begins to change her mind. And she begins to think again, oh, well, maybe it is really the kids. I don't know. What was he thinking? How could he call me an egotist? And the couple go off and begin to rebuild this illusion that she had before she got there. That really, it wasn't her who needed to be affirmed, but who needed to be reformed, rather, but she who needed to be affirmed. And so her friends laugh and go, well, I guess we have to really practice learning how to see everyone as holy, even when they don't act it. And that's essentially what our job is. We should look really deeply at what egoism has given to us. Because one of the things that comes out of egoism, this egotism is essentially of attachment. I want it to be this way. I can't stand it to be that way. And that's aversion. That this attachment is the beginning of the deep obscuration of who you really are. Things have to be this way and they can't be that way. And we become obsessed with it to be that way, or we spend most of our days working to make it so, leaving little time for us just to be and to feel the experience. And then the other thing that comes out of this is a fear of death. Because if we're an ego, if we're this thing, this body-mind, then we will soon begin to fear death. Death is not the end of the self with a capital S. It's just the end of the body-mind. And so one of the outcomes of an experience of recognizing who you really are, which can come by getting rid of the things that keep you from seeing it, by recognizing, let's say that, like this woman, that you're egotistical. That instead of being egotistical, you come back to a sense of humility. And you say to yourself, I should tell them I love them, not they should tell me they love me and they're grateful for my gifts. You begin to reverse the way it is. You begin to look for the holiness in everyone instead of trying to say, I am something special. Who I am is the way it should be. That's not the way to be over there. This is the practice of being a humble seeker and essentially diminishing the ego to the point where you can see through it to the self. This book by Susan Trott made me laugh and smile many times as I was reading it. I've read it at least 2 times. I don't know how many other times. I can only remember twice. But one of the things about it is that if we will pay attention to our life, we'll be like the pilgrims on the trail. And we could begin to see, while we're on the trail, the transformation that's happening to us that allows us to live like a holy person. And one of those things that the holy man suggests is that you treat each person kindly, that you see beyond who they appear to be, and to recognize that they are holy inside. I've noticed in the last year that the world has stayed in the last year very righteous about what it believes. The left and the right no longer see in each other holiness, but we see otherness. And that has kept us farther and farther apart. The country needs to heal from that. And one of the ways we could do this is, while we don't really know how to affect it on a grand scale, perhaps we can affect it on a minor scale, on our own personal level. That we begin to see each person as holy, even if they don't seem to be acting at the time. For the holy man believed both the drunk and the egotist were holy and treated them as such. And so it is with us. We could see everyone as holy if we will practice it. And in so doing, we'll begin to see ourselves as holy and begin to have that feeling that we are love itself and that there is nothing to fear, nothing to be too attached to, nothing to be too afraid of. Death cannot really harm us. Let's take that attitude. I want to read you a poem by my favorite poet, Hafiz, who is from the Islamic tradition, but is translated so beautifully in these words. We might have to medicate you. Resist your temptation to lie by speaking of separation from God. Otherwise, we might have to medicate you. In the ocean, a lot goes on beneath your eyes. Listen, they have clinics there too for the insane who persist in saying things like, I'm independent of the sea. God is not always around, gently pressing against my body. This moment of realizing who we are, if we could extend it into days, if we could extend it into weeks and months, then maybe they would file by the thousands to our hermitage to see us. Or maybe we would just be a light unto the world that gives people hope to realize who they really are as well. And the world might be just a little brighter because we chose to see the world differently, and our meditations and our actions match the wisdom of the ages, that we are not just a body or a body and a mind, but we are the divine incarnate. May this become each of our realization. Namaste.
I am darkness, I am light, I am day, I am night, the infinite evolving, eternally the same. I am first, I am last, I am future, I am past, a name the unknown knowing, a knowing beyond names. I am light, I am day, I am night. The infinite, evolving, eternally the same. I am first, I am last, I am future, I am past. A name beyond all knowing, a knowing beyond names. I am, I am, I am that, I am, I am that, I am that, I am that,
Neusom, thank you once again for your awesome talk. As we shift into this time of opening up to our giving time, which is what we normally do before we close the service, I would like to share with you and those online a recent story that I heard about the founding of the Unity Center in New York City by Richard Lynch. He was, as a young guy, he worked in the village with Myrtle Fillmore and studied with Charles Fillmore. And when, after a while, Fillmore said, "This is your time to move on and be the pioneer of the Unity movement in New York City." And his answer was, "Well, there's not much money I have." And he says, "The faith will move the substance, and God will provide as you move in faith." So what happened was that he says, "Okay, I'll follow that lead," and he moved to New York, checked into this hotel, not having money as to how he was going to pay for the hotel room, but he spent the whole night in prayer and in focusing his attention in God as the source, God as the provider of everything. And he fell asleep until early morning hours, finally woke up at noon, and when he approached the door, there was an envelope with a lot of cash, enough to pay for his hotel room, for his rental expenses while there, and to start the beginning of the Unity Center in New York City. I love that story because it validates the idea that our true prosperity is based in the spiritual aspect. And that's this is how our movement and our church is really sustaining the awareness that God is the true provider. So I wanted to, have you heard that story before?
I had not heard of that story, and I'm going to give it a try here. Maybe outside my door at my office, I could get a little some donation.
Well, for we walk by faith, not by sight. Anyways, just wanted to share this story with all of you. And now, if we may, we would like to just be grateful for the consciousness that it inspires the giving at this moment, and let's affirm together: divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And it's time to say goodbye.
Okay, Anna.
But see you soon.
Yeah, we'll be here at 9/11, streamed and in person at your church. We'll be there at 11 as well.
So we look forward to either seeing you online or seeing you here, but we'll be together. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you.
Namaste.
Peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, but peace that was meant to be with God as Creator, family all on me. Let us walk with our family in perfect harmony. Let peace sink in with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyful vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with
The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.